Yeah, hi everyone, this is Vinay here.
Hello, George is here.
Yeah, hi.
Having a Madhu here.
Yeah, thanks. So, before proceeding to the relationship, anyone has any questions? We had discussed about the data model and the three tables that we create: landing table, the base objects, and the staging tables. So we had just discussed about these three tables. Any questions on that?
Not yet.
Okay. So today, we'll be looking into the relationship, like what are the different types of relationship we can create in the MDM side, and how to configure that into the MDM, and we'll practically also create some tables and define the relationships. Okay, so starting with that, like first is, so there are three types of relationship that we can have in the MDM side, like it's one-to-one relationship, one-to-many, and many-to-many. One more will be there, how to configure that we'll see. But usually that same, the ER modeling that we do usually, the different types of relationship. So these are the three types of relationship we can configure in the MDM also, because the MDM data model is also similar to the ER modeling that we do usually. There is no difference as such between them. So as we do in, like if we talk about the Oracle side, like we have a parent table and the child table. So usually we create the column in the child table if we know that there is a many-to-many, one-to-one or one-to-many relationship between the tables. Usually in the child table, we create a foreign key column which refers to the primary key of the parent table. So here also we have the same concept. So in this slide, like I have on the left hand side, like there is a category table and there is a subcategory table. So category is my parent table and subcategory is my child table. So between, according to our model that we will be doing in the lab, between them we have like one-to-one or one-to-many relationship. This, if you create such relationship, it can hold both of them, either one-to-one relationship or one-to-many relationship. So this is my child subcategory, and because both are a base object, so that is why you see row ID object there, because every base object that we create will have a unique row ID object, and inside whatever we see the columns, those are the business columns. So we have created this column like category called foreign key. So here FK is represented. Usually you will not see this FK in MDM side. This is just for referencing purpose that this is a foreign key column. So here what we do, we create the foreign key column, and this column is mapped to the row ID object of the parent table. Why? Because row ID object column in each of the base object. In MDM side, whenever we create the relationship between two business tables, so these are not the static tables or the lookup tables, these are the business tables which contains the business data. So when we are creating the relationship between the business tables, where we know that between two tables we have one-to-one and one-to-many relationship is maintained. In that case, in the child table I will create a foreign key column and I will map it with the row ID object of the parent table. So for mapping that, what we have to do is we need to go to the child table. So child table is my subcategory. I go into the subcategory table, like the base object. There I have option of add relationship. So once I click on the add relationship, it shows me the column from all the columns from the subcategory on the left. And on the right hand side, I will see all the other tables or the base objects. So I need to select the foreign key column on the left hand side and the row ID object, which is the unique column, on the right hand side, and click on OK. So this will create the relationship. So relationship probably might be like this. How can we know that there is a one-to-one or one-to-many relationship between the tables? That can be seen by looking at the source data. So that is will be done by the analysts. Basically, we will be looking into the source data from where we are getting the data. So by looking at the source data and how it is maintained, we can know basically whether what type of relationship is maintained, whether there is a one-to-one relationship, one-to-many or many-to-many relationship between two tables. So based on that, we can configure the same in MDM also. So if we configure it like this, like it will hold both the things, one-to-one and one-to-many. Similarly, like now if you know that between two base objects, I have a many-to-many relationship defined between the tables. So let us see that. So according to our model, like we have an address table and there is an address type table. So between the address and the address type table, there is a many-to-many relationship defined. So if we know that there is a many-to-many relationship between two tables, we create a third table, which we say that this is a relationship table. So I have created one table like address type. This is just a base object. Relationship table is also a base object. Just we write like to identify that this is a relationship table, I will just put like rel, so that just the display name, so that we know that this is a relationship table. And here you see the row id rel. This is just for explanation purpose that this is a row id of a relationship table, but actually there is no row id rel. It is like a row id object only. So it's similar to a base object. There is no difference between a normal base object and a relationship base object. So what we do here, in this table, we usually have only two columns, the foreign key from both the tables. So row id object 1, we can say that it is belongs to the address table, and row id object 2 belongs to the address type table. So this basically configures the many-to-many relationship between both the tables. So if you see this add relationship here, so what I have to do to configure this relationship is I need to go to this table address type, which is my relationship table, and click on the add relationship. So it shows me both the columns like with address row id and the address type row id. So usually we use this convention like address row id you can use, or you can use like a row id address. This is just to tell that this is a foreign key column which stores the row id object of the parent table. So that's the naming convention we use to identify that this is a foreign key column. It's not mandatory, but usually generally this is the convention used. So we have selected address row id on the left hand side, and on the right hand side we have selected the row id object of the address table. Similarly, once this mapping is done, when we click on the add relationship again, I will see only one column. So that is also a restriction that you can map a column once. You cannot create a relationship for a column more than once. So that is why once I created a relationship between the address row id and the row id object of address, next time when I click on the add relationship button, it is not visible here. So only the address type row id is visible here. So again I will select this address type row id and I will map it with the row id object of the address type table.
So is the restriction only between two tables, or suppose there is a third table, then also you cannot do?
Sorry, no, we can do third table. Means you can create a relationship, means one column can be mapped only once. For a column I can create a relationship only once. So once a relationship is created, next time the column is not visible at all.
Okay.
So the same thing like what we have seen here, like the relationship one to one, defining the relationship like one to one, one to many, or many to many. The same we will see now from the MDM side. So I will create tables and I will show you how to create the relationship. So we'll go to the MDM and we'll create the tables. So this is the base object. So as of now, relationship is always created between the base objects only, not between the landing tables or the staging tables. So as of now, we will create only two base objects. So for creating the base object, we can do a right click on this add item to add a base object, and here we can give a name to the base object. I'm just giving a name as customer1. So physical name, you see it is starting with C underscore. So all the tables start with C underscore. We can change it, but usually we don't change. We leave it as it is. And this is the table space. We don't need to change because before installing MDM, we have to install, like, create these three table spaces, which is CMX, data, index, and temp. So these table spaces will come automatically to change anything. So we will be creating this base object like this. Once the base object is created, either we can go to the columns and create the columns manually, or we can import the columns. So both of the things we can do. So what we can do is, like, you already will have a design document where it will be listed like what are the columns you need to create for the customer table and what is the data type. So either I can come here, manually click on this add button and add all the columns, or we can use the import feature. Using the import feature, we can import the columns only. So we cannot import the table, we can just import the columns. So what we can do is, we have a design document. Suppose the customer table is there, we have some like 50 or 60 there. So we can take it from the design document, put that in SQL developer and create a temporary table. Once the temporary table is created, I can use this import feature and import all the columns. So I'll show you that import part. So on the right hand side, the second last button, this is the import schema button. So once we click on this, it will ask for these details, the database details. So once we pass these database details, the schema name, username, and the password, it will show me all the tables, whatever tables are present in my ORS or the schema, everything will get displayed here. So in this, like, the tables that we have created in MDM side or any table which is created in the backend, all those tables will be visible. So I already have like a customer table. So I will go and select that table and import all the columns from there. So we need to select the table and click on next button. It will show me all the columns from the table. So I can that I need. And then, like, click on the finish button. So here, like, everything will get imported. The physical name, the data type will get imported. If you want to change anything, you can change it at this point of time before saving. Display name can be changed.
So you are importing from the physical table to the
to this table, to the from one physical table to a second physical table. I am importing it.
Okay.
So the only thing is, like, whenever we do an import, so whatever the physical names we have, like full name for example, the same is the display name exactly as it is. So it might be required that instead of full name I want to show like customer name. So I can come here and change it. This can be changed later also. So the display name can be changed later. As of now, you can change the physical names also. But once you save it, we will not be able to change the physical name nor the data type. So for example, I will save this first and then I will show you. So now this table is saved. So now I am not able to edit the physical name. So physical name cannot be edited. I can change the display name. Similarly, I cannot edit the data type and I cannot reduce the length. If you want to increase the length, you can increase the length. For example, this is 100. If I try to reduce the length, it is not working. But if I want to increase the length, it will work. So we can increase the length of a particular column, but I cannot decrease the length of a column. So that is one restriction here. So two things. So in case, like for example, you say that I have created this column wrongly, like full name column wrongly, and I had to create it with some other name. So as you saw that you cannot change the column, so we can delete it and recreate the column back again. So this is like one table customer we have created. Similarly, I will create one address table and I will show like one-to-one relationship and one-to-many relationship, many-to-many relationship between both the tables. So now second we'll create one address table and I'm giving that name as address 1. And also like connection details, like I'm passing some connection details. So if you want to know what is the connection details you need to use, probably it will be given to you, but in case username password you know, but if in case you forgot these connection details, you can always check here. Like if you go to the top databases and connect to master database, so here like all the verses are listed. So first go and take a right lock here. In the right lock, this is the option acquire lock. So once we take it, then this edit button will be enabled. So if you click on this edit button, it will show you all the details, database host name, service name. So the same thing you can use for the import feature. So again, I will go back to schema. So here once you come again, you have to take a right lock, because unless we take a right lock, we will not be able to edit anything. So on the top, these are the options: acquire lock, acquire exclusive lock. Two options are present. Acquire lock is like multiple people can take an acquire lock and they can work parallelly. And but if you take an acquire exclusive lock, then only you will be able to work. Other people will not be able to take the lock on this and work on it. So that's why usually everyone takes this acquire lock and work on the MDM parallelly. So now I will go and import again the columns for the address table. Okay, so both the tables are created, the customer table is created and the address table both are created. So now like I know that customer is a parent table and address is my child table. So what I have to do, in my child table, I will add one column here and I will say as a customer row. And what is the size I have to give here? The size of this column, the foreign key character 14. So this is important here. Why? Because I am going to map it with the row ID object of the parent table, and row ID object size, like here you can see row ID object is always character 14. So whenever we are creating a foreign key column, we should ensure that the size of that column is character 14. So by default, like whenever we select character, it is like 14 only. If you want to change it, we can change it for any other column. But for this foreign key column, we should also we should always use character 14.
Vinay, when you add this foreign key,
Yes.
Was physical name populated by automatically, or you put it in?
Yes, like whatever is the display name that we give. For example, we can add one more column here. So if I put a display name, the physical name gets created, and if you want, we can go and change it. The physical name can be changed.
Oh, okay. So it takes it from display name?
Yeah, correct. So whatever display name we pass, the physical name gets created automatically with the same name, and then if it is required, we can go and change the names.
Okay, but does it know that the customer ID, customer row ID is a foreign key here, or you have to?
It doesn't know. As of now, it doesn't know.
Oh, okay.
Because that's a normal column we have created here.
Okay, you just create a normal. Okay, thank you.
Yes. So now I need to create the relationship. So for creating the relationship, I will go here. Under the base object itself, there is a relationship button. And once you come here to the relationship, on the right hand side, this add button will be there. So once you click on this add button, this relationship pop-up will come, where on the left hand side I will see all the columns from my address table, and on the right hand side I will see all the column, means all the other tables. So I need to select the table with which I want to create a relationship. So I will select that column on the left hand side and the row ID object on the right hand side. So if you not only customer, if I go and open any table like customer node or any other table category, subcategory, address type, I see only one column, which is row ID object. Only the unique columns will be visible here, and row ID object is by default a unique column. That is why for all the base objects we can see only row ID object. If we there are options that we will be seeing next. If we make any column specifically as a unique, then that column also will come up here. But as of now, by default, only row ID object column is a unique column, so that is why it is visible. So I will select both of them and click on OK. This will create the relationship between both the columns.
Again, another question.
Yes.
If this modeling option is just used to make it changes, or actually you do the modeling right in the tool?
In the tool itself, we are modeling it.
So we don't use any tools like Irwin to create the database?
No, we can use the Irwin basically to create the model. Basically, we should have some model with us. So basically, during the initial analysis and design phase, probably we might be using this Irwin. We might be creating some tables at the back end manually and designing. Using Irwin, we can design the things. But the same thing we have to do again in the MDM side, because MDM cannot use this Irwin. Means you cannot import the Irwin model and recreate here in the MDM side. So that's the reason.
We cannot.
No, we cannot import the Irwin basically and create it in the MDM side. That's the reason. So even if you have created it, you will have to recreate it again in MDM.
Okay. I maybe missed when you said that, but okay.
So here we can see this column is relationship is created. So foreign key from address 1 base object, the column name is customer row ID, to customer 1 base object row ID object. So relationship is created, and one more thing that we have to do here is this relationship is created between the tables. Now if you come down, if you see down, there is a column which is lookup display name. So lookup display name is by default row ID object, because I have created a relationship object of the parent table. So by default it is row ID object. What we do is, whenever we create a relationship, we click on this edit button. If I click on this edit button, it will show me all the columns from my parent table. So you can see I am in the address table currently, but when I click on this edit button, I see all the columns from the customer table. So instead of row ID object, I will select some meaningful name here. For example, customer name. So only one column I can select at a time. I cannot select multiple here. So once we select it, click on close button and save it. Now this is complete. So why we are selecting this column? So let us discuss that point, that why I need the customer name or any other column instead of row ID object. So for example, if I go to the customer base object here, so it is not for the MDM side. Like when we go to the IDD application, that is the Informatica Data Director application, which is basically used for viewing the data, address data or customer data. So when we go to the IDD side, and there I want to see all the address columns. So when I want this column, this customer row ID column, this will show me numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. It's storing the primary key of the parent table, that is the row ID object 1, 2, 3, and the values is a sequence number, that is 1, 2, 3, 4. So basically the business doesn't know what is 1, 2, 3, 4 because it is showing a row ID object. So instead of that, we want to show some meaningful name. So instead of showing the row ID object, it will show the customer name which is corresponding to it. So at least it is good for the business, because at least business knows this address belongs to which customer. So he can identify that with a customer name. Internally it is storing numbers only 1, 2, 3, 4, but just for display purpose, it will do an internal join between both the tables, and it will show the customer name instead of the row ID object value. So that is the reason why we go and change. So this is clear, or you have anyone has any questions about this, why we change it?
Oh, it's not clear.
Show it again.
Hello, yes, tell me.
Yeah, Vinay, if there are multiple addresses for the same customer, so will the customer name will be displayed twice?
Yes, because we are in the this one means we are in the address table. If we are going in the address table, we will be going the customer data like one by one. So yes, in that case it will be same.
Because here we are just, as you said, it is just a sequence number which is going to be incremented by 1. So multiple addresses will have 2 customer IDs. I mean customer
Yes,
row
correct.
ID.
Yes, you are correct. So one customer we can have multiple addresses in this case. So if we are going to the address table and viewing the addresses, it will show the same customer name.
But the primary key will have 2 different values, 1 and 2.
No. Here like see, 2 addresses are there. So one customer, for example, customer 1 can have 2 addresses. So both the addresses are pointing to the same customer. So if both are pointing to the same customer, they will see the same customer name.
So which key is acting as the primary key when it goes the internal join?
Yeah, this is a primary key only. Whatever this customer row ID, whatever we are creating here, is basically row ID object of the customer table that we just saw that we have done a mapping here. So basically, if we go to the customer table, here this is the row ID object. So whatever value is stored here, that is the value it will show in the address table, because that's a primary and foreign key relationship between both the tables. So foreign key usually stores the primary key values. So primary key is usually like 1, 2, 3, 4. Row ID object is a sequence number, so it stores like 1, 2, 3, 4 number. So I'm saying that instead of showing this number 1, 2, 3, 4, at least I can show some meaningful name like customer name, because row ID object is important only for developer perspective. Business doesn't know what is a row ID object and what is 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes, I got
Instead
you.
of that, if you show
Yes,
the
I got
customer
you.
name, it is good.
Yeah, the row ID object for customer is only meant for customer name, right? Customers, right?
Yes.
Similarly, for address, it is only meant for address table.
Yes, correct.
So
All the tables are separate.
Yeah, we are defining a foreign key on the basis of. So is there a relationship between this row ID object of customer along with the new field which you created for the address?
Yes, we just created the relationship, and we can see here also. Let me show you from here. Schema viewer that will. So
Okay,
see,
okay.
like I have created
Okay.
this customer.
Okay, I'm good.
And,
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. So it's fine. Like if we come to this one and like this is, if I point the mouse over it, it shows that customer one row ID object is related to address one customer row ID. So like this, basically we can, in this way I can create like one-to-one or one-to-many relationship between two tables.
Where do
One
you
more
say
thing is,
name? I didn't get that. One you
sorry,
could change, right? Customer name.
sorry, can you come again?
You change the name to customer name there.
Yes, yes, correct.
So where does it display that?
That will display in the IDD side, not here. It is for the external application, IDD, Informatica Data Director, when we use. So in that case, what I, for example, you want to see the address records. So in the address record, this customer row ID column that I have here on the down, it displays number, like internally it is storing numbers only 1, 2, 3, 4. So instead of showing numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, I want it to show the customer name from the address customer table.
Oh,
so that is why I have selected that.
It'll just like alias something.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So now like I have created a relationship, and now for example, if I come here, this relationship. So for example, sometimes we might do a mistake in the sense that, for example, I created this customer ID column and I had to map it with the customer one base object, but by mistake I mapped it with some other table, because that can be done because it is just a row ID object. By mistake I selected some other column, sorry, not other column, I selected like instead of mapping it with the customer, I mapped it with the category table by mistake. So go and delete this relationship. Here you see, if I delete this, it will also delete the column. So that you have to take care, like in case we have mapped it wrongly and you want to delete the relationship, it will also drop your column. So you will have to recreate this column. So that is fine, I am just deleting it because now I want to show the many-to-many relationship between both the tables. So that is why I will click on yes, which will delete this column. So it will also show you the details here, that if you are trying to delete this relationship, the relationship will get deleted, and also the column customer underscore row ID will get deleted. Okay, so now it is deleted. Now if I go to the columns, I won't see that customer ID column is not present here. So it is deleted from here. So it is fine. Now I have like customer address. If I go to the schema viewer again, I will see that both of them are separated out. So once you go to the schema viewer, probably I am seeing the same thing here. That is because the cache is not refreshed. So for refreshing the cache, you can, on the top menu, there is a schema viewer. So schema viewer, I can click on the refresh button. So now you can see it is again separated out. So the customer table and the address table both are separated. There is no relationship now between both the tables. So now I want to create a many-to-many relationship between both the tables, customer table and the address table. Because by looking at the source data, I saw that one customer is having multiple address and one address is having multiple customers. That can be possible because even we have like home address and office address, and one office address belongs to a lot of people, multiple people. So that becomes like many-to-many relationship between the tables. So now like for creating a many-to-many relationship between the tables, what I will do is I will go and create a third base object. So I will add a new base object here, and I will give the name as REL, just to represent that this is a relationship table. And I will give like customer 1, address 1. So I am creating a relationship between customer 1 base object and address 1 base object. So just I am giving them such naming convention here. Already used. I'll give some other name here. Okay, so now this is my relationship table which is created. So relationship table is nothing different here. You can see its same row ID object is present here also. And now I will add just two columns here. I will say customer row ID and one more column as address row ID. So customer row ID and the address row ID, and here again I will select the column as character 14 and save this. Okay, so both the columns are created here, customer row ID and the address row ID. And now I will go again to the relationship tab and I will add both of them. So once I click on this add relationship button, again I will see both the columns in the left hand side. So customer row ID. So this customer row ID I will map it with the row ID object of the customer one table. And similarly, once this is done, next I will map the address row ID column. So this is created. Now again I will click on this add button, and now I will see only one column here, address row ID, because once I create a relationship for any column, next time it is not visible. And again I will go and select the address one base object. So this is also created. So both of them are created. Again I will go and just change the lookup display name. So lookup display name, this is the address. So I will select, like for example, address line 1 here for the address table. For the customer, we can again select the customer name. So again I will select the foreign key of the customer. When I select this and click on this edit, I will see all the columns from customer now. So again I can select customer name here. So this becomes like many-to-many relationship between the tables. So now if you go to the schema where we can see this detail. Again we need to, once you come here, you need to click on the refresh button. So now we can see this, that between the customer table and the address table, we have many-to-many relationship defined. So this relationship, that whatever we have done till now, is between the business tables. Business table, address is my business table, and this is relationship table that we had created. So every time that we go with a business table, we use this option. Means in the child table, I will create a foreign key column and map it with the row ID object of the parent table. So next, what we'll see a static table or a lookup table, because usually more than the business table, like usually in your projects, usually we will have the business tables will be less. For example, customer table is there, address table is there, maybe some 2-3 more details or address details. So 4-5 business tables will be there. But usually there are a lot of static or the lookup tables that we have. So next, like for example, I have a country code. So I want to create a relationship with the country code column, which is a lookup table. So next, like, we'll see how to create a relationship with a static table or a lookup table. So we'll come here and suppose I want a country column here because I want to display the country codes.